wanted to know how you relate to others based on astrology? Well, today we are going to talk all about synastry by exploring the Venus-Venus aspects. In this video, we are going to cover the conjunction and the opposition. And if you would like to see the sextile, trine, and square, that is available for our channel members below. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Before we do dive into today's video, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you would like to book a synastry chart reading with myself, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. First and foremost, there is the introduction video to synastry below, as well as many videos about the aspects. I do recommend watching those first. And for the purpose of this series, I will focus on the 5 major aspects. Also, make sure to look at the degrees to get a clear picture, a clear understanding. And you can always book a synastry reading with myself and I can guide you based on your unique chart. So what exactly does Venus mean in relationships? Venus points to love, attraction, what we value within our relationships, the beauty we experience, the harmony we seek, how we wish to reach win-win outcomes. However, Venus can also indicate themes of jealousy, rivalry, pettiness, passive-aggressive tendencies, conflict avoidance, and superficiality, where we become more concerned about image than depth. Now, the condition of Venus in your chart and the person/people involved is so necessary here. So look to both your chart, so look to your chart and the other person's chart or other people's charts, whoever's involved. And do also consider progressions, right? So progress planets for more information, especially when we look to how our relationships evolve over time. The following information can be applied to love, but also consider friendship and family relationships. I will use examples throughout. Okay, Venus aspects. Venus aspects in synastry are all about love and values. So how they align, how our values align with another person's. They speak to 2 or more people's pleasures, desires, and ways of relating, ways of socializing and connecting, ways of expressing, showing, receiving love. First up, then we have Venus conjunct Venus. This is a fusion of 2 people's values, beauty, desires, and comforts, such as having similar values, liking similar things, having similar taste, style, appreciating one another, especially getting where the other is coming from. There's really a desire to want to connect and relate here. However, things can also be too samey or similar, and you might not necessarily challenge each other to change when change is needed. It's almost like you can't really pick up on each other's blind spots because you're so similar. This might also highlight rivalry and competition, especially when we explore other aspects in the chart, right? We always want to think about the bigger picture. Both parties may be quite protective of their beauty, their looks, their money, their resources, their style, their creativity. Still, there are shared ideals and there is an understanding of affection. Let's just put it this way. Having Venus conjunct Venus, so your Venus conjunct another person's Venus or the other way, this does not necessarily mean that your relationship will last or that you will not run into any issues, but it can point toward this harmonious connection with awareness and respect. There can really be that resolve that can come into effect here. There can be greater ease and recognition and just feeling validated by one another. So let's use a couple of examples. Let's imagine a Venus and Taurus person with another Venus and Taurus person. These two people may feel like they can relate when it comes to their pleasures and their comforts. There is an appreciation for these very things. They value these very things. And so because they may be on the same wavelength, they might enjoy similar kinds of experiences and activities together. So for example, they might decide to go to a nice spa, right? Spend the day at a nice spa event. And that brings them both pleasure. They're on the same page and they can relate. Could also be a situation where their values are very much aligned when it comes to their money. So their spending habits could be quite similar. And so that's when they might really build together as a couple. All of those kinds of practical things can be covered because they both value the same type of thing, and that is security itself. Again, remember the bigger picture. We always want to think about what else is happening in the chart. Then let's go to a Venus in Scorpio person with another Venus in Scorpio person. Okay, this right here is where they can relate when it comes to intimacy. There is a greater desire from both people for intimacy, for a deeper bond, emotional bonding. Vulnerability could come into this. Trust, greater depth and commitment comes into this. So because both parties are essentially really looking for the same thing, or they're quite similar, then this is where the two people with Venus and Scorpio, they can relate, they can connect. And like I said a moment ago, there can be the whole two samey stuff happening. So in the case of two Venus and Scorpio people, they might together, they might be overly intense, or there could be a lot of emotional like an emotionally charged influence that comes into the relationship. And if or when that happens, they might not necessarily recognize that it's happening. They sort of bounce off one another. And then in the case of two Venus and Taurus people, they might not necessarily push one another outside of their comfort zone, right? There could be this whole thing of, okay, this is familiar, this is safe, this is secure. Why would we change anything? I hope you are enjoying this video so far, and if you are, then please be sure to subscribe and give the video a like. And if you would like to learn more about astrology, then you can always pick up a copy of my astrology cheat sheets. The links are down below. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to the Venus opposite Venus. This right here is a pretty dynamic attraction combination, a magnetic pull. That's what it could feel like. It could feel like this love me or hate me combination, as if you both speak different languages within the relationship or when it comes to relating and socializing. But there's also a curiosity, there's an interest, there is a type of attraction, as if you are subconsciously seeking out a missing piece of yourself within the other. So projection may occur, me versus you, but this is about learning to value one another for your differences, which then can lead to a more long-lasting connection over time. See, as one person pulls to have their desires met, the other might pull in the opposite direction. So it's identifying how you can meet in the middle, how you can reach win-win outcomes and resolves. Naturally, win-win outcomes are not always possible, right? We might reach this deadlock situation, but it's still about approaching the relationship with the desire to learn from one another. So instead of allowing resentment to build, it's about making the effort to get where the other person is coming from. But hey, in deadlock situations, if both parties are not willing to compromise, maybe it is a case of they need to go their separate ways. And that's not a bad thing. That's not necessarily wrong. So let's think about a couple of examples. Let's say this is a Venus in Aries person, and then a Venus in Libra person. The Venus in Aries person might pull in one direction, really highlighting their independence, their freedom, maybe wanting to do their own thing at the weekend. But then the Venus in Libra person might pull in the opposite direction and maybe say something like, oh, we should do that together, right? Maybe we should go out together, go to the park or go to a certain event. Or let me join you on that trip. Let me join you on that adventure. So then that Venus in Aries person might feel a bit like, is my independence being taken away? But then equally the Venus in Libra person might feel like, why do you not want to spend time with me? Like, we're a couple, we're together. I don't get it. So how they might be able to reach a win-win outcome here could be, for instance, the Venus and Aries person maybe making time for themselves, but then saying something like, hey, I'm going to do this, and then after, let's do this. There's that compromise. And then the Venus and Libra person can compromise by looking at that and thinking, yeah, okay, you go have your time on your own, some independence there, and then we'll connect later on. And then what we don't want to do here is we don't want it to get to a point where the Venus and Libra person is maybe being manipulative and the Venus and Aries person is being aggressive. So this could be where this polar opposite stuff can really show up as them clashing. But yeah, remember, they're still seeking something within the other. So as the Venus and Libra person is looking at the Venus and Aries person, there's something subconscious here about them maybe learning to integrate greater themes of independence for themselves. Then as the Venus and Aries person is looking to the Venus and Libra person, there could be something subconscious there where they're learning via the Venus and Libra person, oh, actually, I didn't actually think to ask Venus and Libra if they wanted to join me. Maybe I should be more thoughtful of other people too. Then let's say, for example, it's Venus in Cancer with Venus in Capricorn. Right, as the Venus in Cancer person might pull in one direction, and it's more about let's cozy up together, let's spend some quality time together, let's go spend some time with my family at the weekend, let's go on a trip together, whatever it is. There's something there about that quality time, that connection. The Venus in Capricorn person might be pulling in the opposite direction, and they might think to themselves, oh, you know, I've just got a lot going on right now. A lot of practical things have piled up. I have this to do, that to do. I've got a work call. I've got a meeting that I've got to go to. Right? They could just be so caught up in all of the security things that they're working on, that they're building towards. So the Venus and Cancer person might look at that as, you don't want to spend time with me. Like, I feel like we don't really connect very much emotionally. I feel like you're always working, or I feel like you're always busy. And then the Venus and Capricorn person might think of the Venus and Cancer person as being overly needy, or they're smothering them, or they're being too clingy, or like they can't do something for themselves. This stuff could be going on. So in this case, maybe the Venus in Cancer person can look to the Venus in Capricorn person and reach a compromise by saying, well, how much do you actually have going on? Maybe there's something that I can help you with to get through. And then, you know, let's maybe spend some time together after, or let's spend some time together now, and then you can get to that stuff later. The Venus and Capricorn person can also reach a compromise with the Venus and Cancer person by looking at it as, hey, my Venus and Cancer partner is trying to connect with me. They're not trying to take me away from all the practical things. Actually, maybe I am overworked. Maybe I am feeling like there's a lot of pressure right now. And actually, this is my invitation to try to minimize that pressure, to relate, to connect with my partner. So this is where we could see the compromise. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to have the Venus and Capricorn person become really stubborn and set in their ways and maybe being overly controlling and authoritative. But then we also don't want to have the Venus and Cancer person sulking or going into their shell and taking it as a personal attack, and then they can act out in passive aggressive ways later on. And then there's that resentment that can build within this relationship. And then interestingly, what they're kind of looking for within the other, I find, is The Venus in Cancer person might learn from the Venus in Capricorn person the value, right? How they can value maybe some discipline, maybe how they can value some compartmentalizing, even when it comes to certain practical matters, so that things can run smoother, right? Maybe appreciating, for example, that, yeah, the Venus and Capricorn person, they're focused on the security stuff because those things are important for the future. And then the Venus and Capricorn person can maybe appreciate and value the part of Venus in Cancer that is trying to look at it from a place of emotional release, paying attention to their feelings, letting go. You know, it's this recharging influence with Venus in Cancer. It's being able to spend time with loved ones because to them that is really important. And I guess, hey, you can't take money with you when you die, right? You can't take your items with you. So this is what they can learn from one another, and this is also what they can integrate within themselves through the other. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes the conjunction and the opposition between Venus and Venus in Synastry. The sextile, the trine, and the square are all available exclusively for members. By joining the Cosmic Warriors Club, you'll get access to all members only videos over there. To join, just click the join button below. But in the meantime, I hope that this video taught you more about Synastry. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for more, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!